What is going on, guys? Today we are talking about specifically the 5.4 2-valve engine and the 4.6 that would go in like that New Edge Mustang, when in Crown Vics, when a lot of different vehicles back in the day. We're going to talk about if you have one of these that won't idle. Now there are a lot of things that will make an engine not idle, but specifically one of the most common on these engines, the 4.6 and the 5.4, is that idle air control motor. So this right here is your culprit. Then if we look at the 5.4, it's actually located all the way here in the very back. So vehicle setting here at an idle, your throttle body is closed, no air is going to be able to get into that engine. This one has got a throttle cable, so there is no way for the computer to open the throttle. That is all done from your accelerator pedal. So we have to have a way to introduce air into the engine. So what we have is a separate line right here that you see feeds over to this motor and into the intake. So once again, your throttle body's closed, you're at an idle, air is coming this direction, and this motor is going to open up or close to allow a certain amount of air into the engine to allow that engine to idle with the throttle body closed. So there are a couple things that can happen with these systems. Number one, you've got an electric motor, it just electrically goes bad. You've got wiring, so you could have an issue with the wiring. But one of the things that is super common is you actually just get a little bit of carbon buildup in this motor itself, and you're blocking the air from getting into that intake, or you're choking it down enough that the vehicle doesn't idle. Now the most common thing you're going to run into when you have an idle air control motor going bad is that you start the vehicle, it dies. You start it, it dies. Well, if you start that thing up and give it just a little bit of throttle, that's going to open that throttle plate up and allow the thing to run. So it'll run just fine as long as you stay on the throttle. You're driving down the road, it runs fine. As soon as you let off the throttle, it tries to come back to an idle, it dies. I've also seen this problem be an intermittent concern. So customer comes in, vehicle won't idle, it's been dying for the last 2 days. You pull the car in, you start it up, it idles just fine. This can be an intermittent problem. It'll come and go. So always keep that in mind when you're trying to diagnose one of these. To get one of these off, super simple process. It is a little more difficult on that 5.4 because it's located in the back, but you can simply pull your hose off of it. I'm going to disconnect it electrically, and then we've got two 8mm bolts. And the whole unit comes off. So once again, this thing could just be electrically bad, or it could just be carboned up. So you can see that, this is a 50,000 mile car. It's got some buildup in there, not bad, not enough to cause an issue, of course, but that is a common thing. So first thing I would try is to clean this thing out. Get some, some kind of cleaner. Air intake valve. They actually make an air intake valve cleaner, a mass airflow style cleaner. I'd be careful with carb cleaners and stuff. Some of them are going to be too aggressive and cause issues with this, but spray out this side, blow some compressed air all the way through this thing. See if it's just literally got something in there that's blocking it or holding the motor from moving. Now on the 5.4 engine, exact same setup. It is just located around back here. So you still have those two bolts that hold it on. You still have a hose that runs around, comes right here, and that hooks up just before the throttle plate. Does the exact same thing, just a little harder to get to. Take this cover off, got 3 bolts that hold this cover on, get it out of the way, then that's not too bad to get to. Another thing you're gonna wanna check, it's very rare, but if you overlook it, that may be your problem, is if you have something in this line that has actually blocked airflow. So go ahead and take this whole line off, make sure you don't have any blockage, make sure air can flow through that without a problem. we're gonna double check our port indoor intake, make sure it's not all carbon closed or anything as well. Now if you cleaned this thing up, throw it back on there, see if that takes care of the problem. If not, run down to your local parts store, pick up a new one. Now keep in mind, there are a lot of things that'll make an engine not idle, but this is one of the most common, easy to fix things that you can check first. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. See you guys next time.